No, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and boy, oh boy, we're going to talk about pro wrestling tonight. How about that? We're going to do that once again, and I say tonight because we record this live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. You're currently watching this on demand. The recording has been done. I've edited it down a little bit so it's a little more fun to consume. So that it doesn't feel like you're just listening to a live stream, right? Of course, because there's a lot of nonsense that goes on in live streams. Fun nonsense. However, if you ever want to make it, if you can ever make it to a live recording, we'd love to have you. youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. But right now, I'd like you to leave a like. I'd like you to subscribe to the channel if you can. It's little tiny things like that can help out and grow the channel tremendously on YouTube. I'd appreciate it in advance if you do it. And if you're already a subscriber, gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate it tremendously. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, well, hey, thank you as well. The audio is out there in podcast land. How about a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts? How about a 5-star rating on Spotify? Again, little things, but make a difference for growing podcasts, just like myself. You keep growing and getting more reach and getting out there. And I appreciate it a great deal if you help out. I also appreciate it a great deal if you join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord and come talk wrestling with a great community of wrestling fans. You got to ditch the Twitter at some point. Twitter's a disaster. Come talk with like-minded people that won't jump down your throat, that won't, throw eggs at your face. We're a cool bunch of people. We'd love to have you. Link is in the description if you want to do that. You can also become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel and get access to members exclusive stuff like the weekly Going Broadway stream that happens every Friday over the lunch hour. And tons of other stuff. You become a member. It also shows a little bit of support for the show as well. But look, all of the plugs are here. All the shit is done. We're going to talk pro wrestling. I've got, Sakura Genesis. We're going to review it. We're going to talk a lot about New Japan because there's been a lot of news. But before we do, we're going to talk about Jay White and AEW. We're going to talk about Triple H's big announcement. And we're going to talk about Tony Khan's big announcement. So let's get to it. Let's start it off with the weekly wrestling inspection. But first and foremost, absolutely out the gate, we are going to talk about the big announcement, Tony Khan's big announcement that he had promised us last week on AEW Dynamite. I talked about it a little on the AEW Dynamite review, which you should check out if you haven't already. But I said, we're going to revisit this. We're going to talk about it again. So here I am talking about it again. Running Wembley Stadium this August is what AEW is going to be doing, and that's tremendous. I'm going to read a bit of the press release. How about that? During tonight's live episode of AEW Dynamite from Long Island, New York, AEW CEO Tony Khan, star Adam Cole, and host Nigel McGuinness announced that AEW's highly anticipated UK debut will take place in London at the iconic Wembley Stadium on Sunday, August 27. AEW All In London at Wembley Stadium marks AEW's first show outside of North America and the first time professional wrestling has taken center stage at Wembley Stadium in more than 30 years. Now, when was the last time that happened? Of course, SummerSlam 1992. Bret Hart, British Bulldog, in what I would consider, I think Bret Hart's greatest performance, I would say, right? I think that is Bret Hart's greatest in-ring performance of all time. Top 3 if you want to start arguing with me, but the fact that Davey Boy was high out of his mind and was unable to make the match work in any way. The fact that Bret guided him through the entire thing, was it in a main event in Davey's home country where he was bound to win the IC title, right? Capacity crowd of people just nuts People just completely crazy for this match. Crazy for Davey Boy Smith getting his due. And he comes in and he's high as a kite. And he can't work the match. So Brett's like, okay, brother, let's go. Follow my lead. In an iconic and a great match to boot. I think it's Brett's greatest performance. And people people have great memories of that event for, good reason. It's very iconic, but that was destined to be a shit show. A lesser wrestler than Brett would have completely dropped the ball on this one. We would not be remembering it, with reverent tones like we are today. You'd be like, look, this match was a shit show. Now it's like Brett saved the main event. And it was great. So basically 30 years since Wembley Stadium has had live pro wrestling there. I think this is a big deal. And I mean, look, whatever Tony Khan, whatever his connections, because people are people. Can't stop him from being people. Like, how did he manage this? So on and so forth. And I'm like, look, the guy has connections up and down, right? The guy has connections up and down. Like, what's the question that we have here, right? Like, he works in football, in footy or soccer. He's in the big leagues over there. Of course, he knows these people. He has these connections. He knew who to talk to. I think there's a legitimate appetite for pro wrestling now. And look, we'll get to that in a second here. The tickets are going to go on sale Monday, May 5th. There's pre-registration that's already up there to get access to event tickets. Not unlike here, when you have to sign up for the newsletters and whatnot. So they have all that set up. I think Dave Meltzer was saying that there was already over 20,000 people who pre-registered. I don't know where he got the number, but hey, Tony Khan had this to say: the UK is one of the most important markets in professional wrestling, and AEW is coming in hot as the #1 wrestling company in the UK on television. We want our debut in London to be epic in scale, and there is no better venue than Wembley Stadium to deliver what I know will be one of the greatest events in AEW history. This April also marks 100 years of Warner Bros. And 100 years of Wembley Stadium. It's a fitting time to come together for AEW All in London at Wembley Stadium. And then they threw in some numbers regarding AEW's tremendous growth on TV in the UK, on ITV4, which is that's a real, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not, I could be, but if I'm not mistaken, ITV is it's a proper over the air network, right? If anyone from the UK wants to call me out on it, but I think that's what it is, as opposed to Sky, which is cable, right? Or satellite, whatever. I think ITV is it's over the air, right? Something to that effect. And so I'm excited to see, how this is going to go. But basically, they're saying here in this, in regards to these numbers, highest ratings driver for men ages 16 to 34 on ITV4 since the start of 2022. AEW reached 2.8 million men on ITV platforms in 2022 and began 2023 by increasing that reach by another 45% among men ages 16 to 34. ITV is a free channel. Thank you, Pete. So those are, I'll take their word for it. I'm not into the, I barely, I barely get the data for American TV, I don't get data for Canadian TV. It's like, why would I have access to ratings data in the UK? I don't know. So I'll take their word for it here. Now, these of course are percentages. What does this, 2.8 million men, AEW reached 2.8 million men on ITV platforms in 2022 and began 2020. Like reach 2.8 million. So that's not like, he's not saying on average 2.8 million. Is this a total? Is it this? Look, this is press release talk. Brother, this is what I do for a living. I know how to twist words around so that they sound good. But then when you start questioning, you're like in this circumstance here, I'm like, wait, okay, 2.8 million men reached. So, if I were writing that press release, that would be a very veiled way of me saying, hey, we've tabulated, we've calculated 2.8 million people have watched AEW since the beginning of the year. Now, are they the same people? Well, you don't need to know that. It's like, that's the thing, right? It's like 2.8 million seems impressive, but what is it on an average week? I am ready to put my hand to flame that this is not an average, that this is probably a sum total of 2022. That's what I'm picking up here. The number seems impressive, but it's not like 2.8 million per week. Christ, Tony Khan would be crowing that at the top of his lungs if that was his weekly average. Anyway. So this is where we're going. This is what's happening in August. And by all accounts, it would appear that a week later, we're still getting All Out. Because I think, Anthony Bowen sort of let that slip on Twitter where he said, someone had asked the question and you're like, no, we're doing this and then we're doing All Out the next week. So, okay, well, look, we're going to see how this plays out. Because as I mentioned on the Dynamite review when I was talking about this, here's the interesting thing. No mention at all on how to watch the show if you're not going to be live in the stadium, which I think it's a fair strategy to do. I'm pretty sure they didn't say that it was I'm pretty sure they didn't want to imply that it might be on television or that you could purchase it from home. They want to fill this fucking thing out. They want to get 90,000 bodies in there. Well, they're not going to get 90,000. Like, I'm getting ahead of myself. But, they want to fill this arena with bodies, right? They don't want people to know that they have the option to stay at home. So, people say, oh, they're not going to be on pay-per-view. What a mistake. And so, yeah, of course, it's not going to be on pay-per-view. Yes, it would be a mistake, if it's not on pay-per-view. It'd absolutely 100% be a mistake. I don't see how this could even be possible. They're probably going to set up some partnerships, some proper partnerships for the UK. I don't know what maybe something different than what they usually do with Fight. I don't know. But we'll probably get this information as we get closer to the event. But as it stands right now, like there's nothing that says, oh, you will be able to watch this from the comfort of your own home. Right now, it's like, oh, you want to see this? You got to buy a ticket. I think that's a sound strategy for now. But I would be shocked, I tell you, if they didn't put this on pay-per-view, because then I'd be like, oh, well, Tony Khan doesn't like money. I mean, I'm going to buy the first AEW pay-per-view in fucking Wembley Stadium, the first pro wrestling show in Wembley Stadium in 30 years, in 3 decades. I'm going to do it. So, it's an interesting omission, but I also think it's by design. I really do think it's by design. Now, if y'all thought the Forbidden Door discourse, the first one, if y'all thought the discourse leading up to Forbidden Door was insufferable and intolerable and filled with bozos and phonies who tried to convince you that they knew what the hell they were talking about, strap in, kids. Because we're going down that same road once again. Because now you're going to have, business specialists of the business of professional wrestling who are going to tell you with aplomb that unless this sells out, this is a failure. Now, we're not going to get 90,000 people into Wembley Stadium. Why? No, Pluggo, not you. By the way, hi, Pluggo. Nice to see you. And Jermaine Presley as well. Nice to see you both. We're not going to get 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium. And it's not because I'm sitting here saying they're never going to sell out. They're going to need room for production. They're going to need room for a stage. They're going to need, the usual shit that takes seating away from the stadium. So until we know, that's a guarantee, actually. There's not going to be 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium. That's just how it goes. If the show is a sellout, that will be a remarkable feat, and will be a testament to the up to now the unknown popularity, unsung popularity of AEW until it actually sat down there, until it's set up in the UK. Then we'll be like, oh shit, Britain really loves its wrestling. That is bananas. Okay, sure. Personally, do I think they're going to sell out? Let's say we end up with 80,000 seats, ballparking it. We're going to know in a couple of weeks, right? When I take a look at this, I'm like 80,000. I don't think they're going to fill out the complete arena. I don't think it's going to be a complete sellout. What would be a success? Yeah, I think half capacity is a success. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm talking a bit through my ass, and anyone who's telling you that as well, who know that this is going to be a success at this moment, they're full of shit. They don't know. The only people who know is Tony Khan, probably Chris Harrington, probably fucking Jeff Jarrett. They know what target they need to hit, right? I would feel like 45,000 is a half capacity. I think that's a success. I think that's great. I mean, it's the WWE strategy that they did coming out of the pandemic, right? Running stadiums, but not filling them out, They were running 50,000 seat stadiums, 60,000 seat stadiums. They were at 48,000, something like that, and they were like success. And the idea is run bigger venues, probably at a discount, especially when they were coming out of the pandemic, where there were probably venues who were like, here, come in, rent our shit, and we'll make you a great price for it. So WWE goes in and, fills as many tickets as they can inside the stadium. Don't necessarily sell it out, but the idea is we sold 20,000 more tickets if we had run a basketball arena, for instance. So not bad. It's not a bad trade-off. And this idea that everything has to be a sellout, regardless, as a form of as the measuring pole for success is a bit ridiculous, because the sellouts are an indication of how hot your product is, and your product should be able to succeed without needing a sellout. If you need to sell out buildings to break even, or hopefully not, but or make start making a profit, entering your profit margin, your business model is fucked. So there's a threshold that exists for this venue that Tony Khan is comfortable in going in, where he's like, look, if we sell X thousand amount of tickets, we'll be fine. And then he says, well, we'll probably be able to do more, right? And there's data. Tony Khan he's a data guy. He's a numbers guy. You give him the data and he analyzes it. And the whole business intelligence team over there absolutely has access to data that we don't see. And I'm talking above TV ratings, outside of TV ratings, there's probably other comparable data that they're looking at. There's maybe they were running some kind of marketing campaign, or we don't know. Just stuff to pick up to try and get the pulse of what's going on. Of course, they saw what happened with, they saw WWE go to Cardiff last year, and they fucking sold the place out. They're like, why couldn't we do that in fucking London? Don't have to drive all the way the fuck out to Wales in the countryside. We'll do it here, in the big city. There's probably all this data that they have access to. Plus, here's something that, living in big countries like Canada, the United States, and I mean physically big, taking up a lot of landmass on the globe. It's not the same reality in Europe, where you can cross into another country within the same day. You can take a train to go to somewhere else, and it's a drive. It's it's a short train ride away. Everything is connected by rails. Sure, okay. UK is not in the European Union anymore, but that, if you think that's going to keep, people from France from going, Germans, the Spanish, tons of people from outside of the UK can and absolutely will converge there. You can't just, when we do something in Canada or the US, it generally doesn't draw that many people from other countries because our country is already so fucking big. We just want people from other states or provinces to come in. Whereas here, it's just we'll get people from other countries. And that's a reality that exists as well. And that's probably, they probably have some models on that, some data of people going to shows, and they probably have some really interesting data from the Cardiff show for some, in some shape or way, I would be hard pressed to believe that Tony Khan is doing this without an incentive, without feeling confident that he can do it, because he didn't do it in North America at all. Biggest stadium that he's run so far is fucking Arthur Ashe, and that's 27,000 seats. It's a stadium. It's a tennis stadium. It's not, Wrigley Field. Is that still a thing? It's not the SoFi Center. It's a good size stadium. Don't get me wrong, but he's not swinging for the fences. Now he is. So that there's for him to show that kind of confidence going in here. And I think it means something. So everyone right now who is sitting around, in their podcasting chair or with their laptops on their laps, writing articles on the amount of seats that are needed that are required to fill out for AEW to consider All In a success, are full of shit. They have no idea. They really don't, because there is so much more data that we don't have access to determine whether this is a success or not. Now, from a PR point of view, and this is where we can have these discussions and get a little speculative if we want. If he sells out, this is a triumph, right? This is it's a huge victory, and a big to WWE, who hasn't run London in a big stadium in years. And maybe success is the friends we found along the way. So like I said, from a PR point of view, if he comes into here, if he ends up running Wembley and he gets like 80,000 people packed into that arena, whatever, that's going to be a tremendous success. A sellout would be a tremendous success, right? Absolutely mind-bogglingly ridiculous success. And that's going to carry home as well. That's going to be a feather in their cap. It's going to be a big deal. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a huge deal. So then we get to the point where now we can start wondering amongst ourselves, because in the chat we were throwing things around, we were throwing numbers around. From a PR point of view, 60,000, 50,000. I feel 50,000 is it's a decent number. I think 50,000 would absolutely be a nice feather in the cap to come home to and say, look, we fucking did this. Size of the gate is X million dollars. Because this is going to be a multi-million-dollar gate for them. It's going to be the first in the history of the company. No doubt about it. If they hit 50,000, there's going to be no doubt about it. But again, look, I'm going to, hey, Motown Slim, nice to see you. Welcome. I'm going to put this out here right now, and I'm saying it right now. The bozos, they're already out there, and they got completely destroyed by Forbidden Door as far as attendance goes, pay-per-view numbers go. The business of Forbidden Door, the original, just blew all of the bozos out of the water. Completely. Anyone who was saying it's too niche, no one knows who these people are. They're never, it's going to sell 20,000 buys on pay-per-view. They can all hit the bricks. And they're already at it right now, saying that this is going to be a failure. That if they don't sell out, it's a failure. Now, I beg of you, do not entertain these people, because then they feel like they're part of the discourse. They feel like their opinions matter, and they don't. Anyone who is going to tell you a success can only be measured by a sellout is completely out of their mind. Otherwise, there would never be any concerts. No one would run stadiums for any type of concert. There wouldn't be fucking summer festivals. If you needed every single ticket sold to be a success, that's nuts. To be successful just means making money. Was your operation profitable? Did you come out looking better in this than not? So I beg of you, and look, stick around to the best deal list podcast on the internet. I will not steer you wrong. I've been taking so many victory laps recently. My legs are exhausted, my cardio shot, but I will keep taking them as long as I make sure that you, my audience, are steered down the road to enlightenment when it comes to this stuff. And we'll absolutely be talking about this again. We'll see what the stadium setup looks like. We'll see how many tickets will be available. Because yes, it will be all about the optics. And this is what will, and I will make sure to parse between the two. I will make sure that my analysis for you folks will be one part optics, one part business, so that we can have the clearest vision possible. How about that? Do we have an over-under? I say, look, over-under 50K. I think 50K is a good, I was saying 45. 45 is my baseline, but I think over 45. And I think that's safe. I don't even think it's that big, that hard of a bet to take, right? Now the question that is leading us into this course. What about CM Punk? I've covered this. We've talked about this multiple times. Multiple times. CM Punk, I really do sincerely believe CM Punk was on the way back to AEW. I think things were starting to cool down. I think cooler heads were prevailing. I believe people were more inclined to having him back as long as apologies were administered and all that stuff. Like, you really did feel like there was a motion happening where CM Punk was going to be welcomed back with open arms. Well, maybe not open arms, but welcome back in a professional setting. And then he does the Instagram post, and then it just feels like everything went to shit again. And we're right back to where we were. And the analysis was basically, well, do we need CM Punk back? Does AEW truly need him back? And there was a compelling argument to be made that CM Punk should only come back in case of emergency, because the ratings are not dying. They're not falling off. They're steady. Business is good. Pay-per-view wise, healthy. Like, there's no cause for alarm. And au contraire, you still feel like there's room to grow. And I think recently Dynamite has been on an uptick. I find that in a lot of the areas that it's been lacking, they've been really good. They've been developing some really interesting things. I think they've got some great stories in the pipe. They've got some great matches. They're setting up some really interesting matches for Double or Nothing. It's feeling good right now. So, like I said, there's an argument to be made for a lot of people saying that CM Punk should only come back in case of an emergency, and there's no emergency. But now we're talking about filling up Wembley Stadium. Do you bring CM Punk back to do that? Because what I think it was, look, it's Dax Harwood. He talked about it on his podcast. And of course, Dax Harwood talks about something on his podcast and makes the news, right? He said CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite should be at Wembley Stadium, right? That would be, he's still continuing his campaign. Bless his golden little heart. And I've been championing that for the longest time at this point. CMFTR versus the Elite is the money match for AEW. That is the one that you pull the trigger on, and everyone is gushing money. They're stealing banks to watch this show. Don't steal money. That's wrong. It's just an exaggeration to prove a point. So Dash is talking about it. Then you know what, Wembley, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong in the sense that if you have CM Punk on the show, you are necessarily going to get some more draws. You are going to get more butts in the seats. I know there's a lot of revisionist history, and there's a lot of people who'd like to say, who are saying that CM Punk, he moved business, but no. He moved business, period. There's no buts. And he was, the metrics were going down. Sure. But we didn't see any opportunity for them to respike because he got hurt. And then the fucking, the grape bomb and whatnot. I think he's still, he's still worthy business-wise. He absolutely is. The problem that we're encountering here is, the decision, I should say, that Tony Khan has to do here is the same decision he's had to do for months now, that he had to come to the conclusion as to whether or not we have to get rid of CM Punk. The conclusion that he has to come to here is, do I want him back for this show? Right? And I don't know if CM Punk should be back because look, and I like CM Punk, and I enjoy, look, I've talked about it so much, but at some point I don't even quite remember what I've talked about. But it's like I was excited for his redemption arc. I was excited for him to come back and be all smiling and comfortable and happy and work with the new guys, all this shit. But Phil Brooks got in the way of himself again. So it's not a question of will CM Punk be a backstage problem again. It's when CM Punk will be a backstage problem again. Because it's inevitable. I don't know how many times this has to happen for people to realize that he is the issue. He is the problem. Whether he's completely in the wrong or not is irrelevant. He becomes the lightning rod. He's the guy. He's he's got the dark cloud with him. So, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take to get to this? Again, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And from, all accounts, the locker room is doing good. People are doing things, again, not everyone likes each other, which is understandable. I don't like all of my coworkers at my day job, and I'm sure it's the same for you. But everyone gets along at a minimum where it's like, look, we just got to work together, push through what we have to do and make some money. That's what we got to do, right? And can Phil do this? I don't know if he can still do that. I don't think he has it in him anymore. I think he's too soured. I think he's too much himself. And you can see it in the Instagram posts. He's tunnel visioned and he's just ready to burn it all down again. And that's just who he is. And he rubs people the wrong way because of it. Is it because he's too outspoken? He doesn't have a filter? Is that sure? I can buy all of that. But then if this is an ingrained personality trait, look, we're going to see what happens. Personally, I don't think you need CM Punk for this. But let's say tickets go on sale in May, in just a couple of weeks, in 3 weeks. Tickets go on sale. And we're past Forbidden Door. And there's still 28,000 tickets sold. I'm Tony Khan. I've got CM Punk on speed dial. I'm just a man. I'm just a man. I need my big stadium show to sell tickets. What am I supposed to do? What do I do? Give him a call. But, if we're hovering around our targets that we were talking about, and this will also be an indicator as to whether the amount of tickets sold was a success or not. Because if we get, let's say, to 50,000 tickets, let's say we get to 50,000 tickets, and CM Punk is never brought in. We don't even hear a peep from him. It's completely erased. We're having people up and down the board. We're getting people from New Japan, whatever. The card is all set. 50,000 tickets sold. No CM Punk on the horizon. That means it was a success. That means financially for AEW, this show did not require, a break glass type of situation. So that will be actually, that could potentially be an indicator as to what the level of, what amount of tickets was needed for the show to be considered a success by AEW. Doesn't have to be a sellout. So if people go in, they only sold 50,000 tickets. If they had brought Punk in, they would have sold 30,000 more. Sure. Probably. I don't know. But at what cost? Because if the show is successful and you bring in a known, backstage toxic presence just to sell 20,000 more tickets on an event or whatever, that's it's a hard decision. It's a hard call. I'm not going to lie, but I wouldn't necessarily do it just to get the sellout. That's just me. I wouldn't risk my locker room for that. Does that make sense? So, in the parallel here between Wembley Stadium and CM Punk coming back, I think it's going to be a very interesting parallel to follow. That's going to be a developing story as well. This is all exciting stuff, folks. Don't get me wrong. I am stoked for all of this. It's going to be great. It is going to be such a good time. And the lead up to all this, and anyone who gets mad about it, it's their problem. Since we're talking about AEW, Jay White showed up on AEW programming last week on Dynamite, attacking Ricky Starks. Now, look, if you are a regular listener of the AEW Dynamite review here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, you already know I've taken my victory lap. I've taken multiple victory laps, but I took one. I'm not going to take it again. I got to conserve my energy for all the upcoming big W's that I'm going to be taking soon. He runs in to throw out the match between Ricky Starks and Juice Robinson, and he attacks Ricky Starks, leaves him dead in the ring, and we get now the formation apparently. Well, he gets the graphic, I should say, Jay White, and apparently we are getting the start of Bullet Club Black and Gold. So that ends that level of speculation that Jay White was on his way to World Wrestling Entertainment. Reports coming out of the entire situation say that there was a bidding war for Jay White between AEW and WWE. AEW got to sign him, and good for them. That's a regardless of what you felt about his career in New Japan, and Jay White has a fair share of detractors out there. He was a big free agent. He was a huge free agent, and if he felt that this was the best fit for him, the most money, whatever, good for him. Good for Jay White. So he's firmly entrenched in AEW. Like I said, it looks like him and Juice are going to be calling themselves the AEW Black and Gold. And we're going to talk about this a little later, but it would seem like El Fantasmo might end up being a part of that, because there was merchandise released earlier last week, I should say, for AEW, for Bullet Club, I should say. Bullet Club Black and Gold, with Switchblade Jay White stuff, with Juice Robinson and El Fantasmo, which is interesting. Because if El Fantasmo, look, I've been a big El Fantasmo guy. I really like him. Liked him for a while. I maintain that if North American audiences are going to love ELP, they're going to get on board with him. He's super charismatic. He's a fantastic show off. Great wrestler on top of that. He's got all the tools. So he comes in, he shows up on AEW TV. There's going to be people who are never going to see him, will have never seen him before. They're going to go, holy shit, who is this guy? I think he's on the cusp of some big time shit. I think out of all of this, Jay White is a big signing, don't get me wrong. But if ELP is on his way to AEW, he has all the potential to be a breakout star that people are really going to attach to. He's got all the tools to make him a big star in North American pro wrestling. Jay White a little bit here. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Jay White in AEW and how he adapts to it. It will be, again, okay, I'm trying to say too many things at once. There are a number of people who are Jay White detractors who just can't stand his matches, who are just, I think he's too long in the tooth, so on and so forth. And there was a time I would have very likely agreed with them. But I think Jay White has been in a constant state of improvement. Like he has just been over delivering on his career time and time again. For the longest time, I would say very overtly and loudly that he was the best old school North American heel, and he's working in Japan. And I still believe that. I still, as far as heel work goes, I think he's still one of the best. Top 2, top 3 right now. And his in-ring has improved. And his skill set has been flexing rather significantly over the past, since returning from the pandemic, since he won the IWGP World Championship. I think he's been phenomenal. Now, is his style, I think one of the reasons that people get really annoyed at Jay White matches is because because the matches he's in are so long, and he's not running the high energy, strong style stuff. Like he's an old school heel who does old school shit. And so I think that when it comes to the big 30-minute main events, the 35-minute main events, which I think maybe were at a disadvantage for him depending on who his dance partner was, I'm really curious to see how he's going to adapt. And I have a funny feeling that the tighter TV times in North America, the more regulated match times are going to be to his advantage. I think a more concise, put together, not put together, but a more concisely produced match for Jay White is going to be advantageous for him. I think we might see stuff out of Jay White that we didn't expect. Kristen and I, we were chatting about it the other night. We were having a laugh because one of the things that he's going to have to adapt to is his potty mouth. Jay White, he likes to curse in the ring. He likes quite a bit. So and during his promos and whatnot. So he's gonna have to dial that down. Sure, on TBS they'll let an S word fly by. So once in a while. So asshole, bullshit. They'll let those fly by. But Jay's language can get a little more colorful. Stuff that he won't be able to do. So I'm also interested in seeing how that is going to play into his persona. But there's something that tells me, I feel like, instead of having Jay White having to go through, several, heat spots where he's slowing things down because he's the heel, because, the main event has to go 30, 35, 40 minutes. Maybe like a 12-minute TV match is going to be really good for him. A 20, 25-minute, pay-per-view match, I think that will also be beneficial. And he's working a completely different style as well, something a little more theatrical. And so I'm really interested. I'm really interested, super curious as to how all of this is going to come together, but I have a good feeling. About Jay White in AEW. And again, look, I might be biased because I'm a Jay White guy. I like his stuff. And I think I think the disdain that he generates is unjustified. I think he's much better than a lot of the punditry let on or want to let on, And and at the same time, I can also appreciate where people are like, look, man, I just can't. I can't watch his matches anymore because X, Y, and Z. That's fine. But to go ahead and say, oh, Jay White is terrible and he'll always be terrible. That's not good faith. That's ridiculous. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what the next step is. And something tells me AEW is going to be very good for him. And the formation of a black and gold Bullet Club. I mean, see how that goes. I've got more thoughts on Bullet Club, but I'm going to save them for later. Like I said, Juice is obviously in it. El Fantasmo is clearly earmarked. He has merch out for him. Hey, you know what? We were talking about Tony Khan having a big announcement, which was at Wembley Stadium, of course. Not to be outdone by anyone, right? You goddamn right, MrWarrenHayes show greater than NXT. Triple H, not to be grandstanded or anything, he as well had a big announcement. He had a huge announcement to make this past Friday on Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. On Fox. And everyone was speculating what this big announcement could be. All the way, and most everyone was like, oh, he's just going to come out here to tell us that Vince is not in control, that nothing's going to change. It's going to be a rehash of what happened on Monday and whatever. But it turns out his announcement was that there's going to be a draft. There's going to be a new edition of the World Wrestling Entertainment Draft. Starting when, you ask? Oh, I'm glad you asked me that question. I'm glad you threw this question to me. The draft will be starting in the next few weeks. Oh, wait. Do you have a specific date? No, I do not. Chief Creative Officer. Chief Officer of Creative. The Officer Chief in charge of creation, Triple H, Paul Levesque, told us that there would not be an exact date. No, in the next few weeks. Now, what is a few? Is a few two? No, that would be a couple. 3 weeks? That is a triumvirate, not a few. So maybe 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that seems more like it. He also said that it would involve all WWE wrestlers, which got the peoples rubbing their hands together saying, oh yeah, how about some NXT people? Oh yeah. We don't know if that means that NXT people or not. If I am in NXT, I'm hoping so. I want that 6-figure deal. Maybe, in this edition of the draft, Clark Gableson, Gable Steveson. Maybe Gable Steveson will be drafted to SmackDown this time around. Maybe they'll have his parents once again, sitting in their living room and then go up, yay, and cheer for Gable Steveson. It was so... Okay, listen. I didn't even know there was still a brand split. And look, I'm going to be honest. Look, I'm having fun with the Triple H and Vince, who's running creative stuff. I think it's a great meme. I think it's funny as hell. Who cares? It's fun. Oh, you guys were wrong. Vince isn't involved in creative. He's just, calling in on Zoom calls to give some notes. I'm like, okay. I'm just enjoying this because look, nothing says Vince McMahon than brand split. Nothing to me in my brain rhymes more a Vince McMahon production than the brand split, than SummerSlam, Survivor Series being the one time a year Raw and SmackDown superstars face each other, right? All that bullshit. That is Vince. The brand supremacy stuff and the brand split and the draft. Frankly, I didn't know there was still a brand split. As a casual viewer of WWE, and as you know, I am the prime target, right, for WWE viewership, I tune in and I see the Usos drafted to Friday Night SmackDown on my Monday Night Raw last night. And I was like, well, we're just, the valves are open, right? I see Raquel Gonzalez and Liv Morgan, and they're on my thing. Rey Mysterio on Raw showing up on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. So I'm like, there's no more brand split. This is fine. Let's just but no, there clearly still is a great divide within the locker room of WWE superstars. And I don't know why people get excited about it. You'd think that at this point they would have learned that the draft it's all smoke and mirrors and it is the promise of something new. And then it turns out that it's nothing. It's nothing. And it's just back to basics. It's the usual shit. And we're just moving on. We're just doing shit. We're just doing stuff. And it doesn't matter. None of it matters. So, my good pals over at the Smackin' It Raw podcast, specifically Matt Ritter. Shout out, Matt. Love you to bits. Now, I was on his podcast on Friday. He was lamenting this, as it should, saying, just give me a fucking brand split. If you're going to do it, create the divide, but stop this porous integration of, people flipping around from everywhere. And I think what Matt should be calling for at this point is just stop it all. There's no point to it. There's no point to a brand split. There's no point to doing drafts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because ultimately, all you're doing is pigeonholing yourselves into creating the same matches over and over again. You have a large roster of people, just have them fight whenever. Oh, but Warren, yes. Warren, it also getting teased in that you have not always the same people on my television. There's a brand split going on right now, and it's always the same people on TV. What are we talking about? And if the people who are on TV are good and interesting and capable wrestlers and good characters, why wouldn't you want them always on your television? Why would we have to create a situation where it's like everyone has to get TV time? Well, the roster is so big. Fire people. No, but you know what I mean? It's like you don't have to put people on for the sake of putting them on television. It's like Shanky. Shanky used to be on television because he was a big dude that would shake his ass, and Vince thought it was funny, so he put him on TV week after week. But frankly, none of us needed to see Shanky on TV. What did he bring to the table that I couldn't have Kevin Owens do instead? Outside of the fact that he can't because it's SmackDown and he's on Raw kind of thing. Does that make sense? Like, put people on TV that people want to see. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be. Sometimes I feel it fucking is, but it should not be that hard. But this regard, Kurt Pope, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. In this regard, however, despite the fact, like, outside of me thinking, oh, who's in charge, Vince or Triple H, that discourse, which I think is really funny. And I think Vince has his fingers in it regardless, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, whether your brain wants to wrap its head around it or not. Vince McMahon did not come back to not be in control, okay? And I think that everything that's happened over the past couple of months should be proof of that. So if you're adamant in believing that Triple H is absolutely 100% no Vince influence in charge of WWE, hey, I've got some timeshares to introduce you to. You know what I mean? But I absolutely do believe that this announcement was thrown out there to change the discourse, to deflect. Because now, a lot of the very adamant WWE fans are like, oh, why are you still talking about Vince? We got a draft coming up. And now everyone's talking about the drafts. And now, everyone's going to do their mock drafts on their podcast, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. But we have to at least be able to admit that this was made to deflect, to move attention away from being, look, tonight on SmackDown, we don't want to hear about was Vince in charge or not. Here, have a draft. And it carries over, and then people on Monday were like, oh, look at all the possibilities for the draft. And no one's, it's deflection. It's deflection. And this is going to be something that, people who work in wrestling media and who are, who have contacts, who get the scoops, this is what, this is what they're going to be tweeted. People are going to be tweeting at them and asking them, hey, you got any scoops on the draft? Hey, do you know who's going to the draft? Hey, you know who's going to be available in the draft? Is NXT going to be available in the draft? That's what WWE wants. That's what they want people talking about, as opposed to Vince forcibly taking over the company and then merging it with UFC while he remains in a position of authority within the new organization that's being created, while giving no real security to the shareholders as to whether or not they're going to have a good deal out of this. Anyway, I also heard that. Just really quickly, Roman Reigns defeating Cody was always the plan, according to Dave Meltzer. In the newsletter, he said, quote, Reigns winning was always the plan, although it was kept secret and almost nobody knew. And I don't think that's better. I don't think that's better. If that was the plan all along. Look, anyway, here's the thing. If this was the plan all along, good for them. They're sticking to their plan. But there's nothing more WWE than sticking to the plan, right? Don't diverge from the plan. This is what was supposed to happen, right? Because now, the mental gymnastics from the WWE universe at this point is all about, he's going to win Money in the Bank, which is preposterous. Cody Rhodes should not win Money in the Bank, right? Oh, save it for WrestleMania next year. In the city of brotherly love, the birthplace of America, the American Nightmare. I'm like, Jesus Christ, people. And then, he's going to go through hard times. This is the new headcanon that people have. Now it's like, he's going to go through his hard times. And I'm like, are we still making this about Dusty? which is proof that this story, so the story continues. It's gonna, we're gonna finish it eventually, but the story hasn't finished. The story is still the same thing. If the idea is to have Cody go through hard times, and then people, he's been with the WWE for less than a year, he has to prove himself. Oh yeah, Cody Rhodes now, has to pay his dues. He's gotta carry some bags in and out of the bus, right? Jesus Christ. I don't know what people, anyone who wants to make up scenarios on how this, it'll work, that's fine. I just want people to have the presence of mind to realize that they whiffed an opportunity to have something really special at WrestleMania this year, having Cody defeat Roman. They completely whiffed it because the level of drama and effervescence and desire was at peak levels. They will not be able to reproduce that. They won't. And why didn't they do it? For the sake of the plan, to stick to the plan, as opposed to doing what pro wrestling essentially is getting immediate feedback from your audience and reacting to it. And this, of course, is counter to the philosophy that I just spoke about not too long ago, just a few minutes ago. Or I was telling y'all, if you have the match, run it. Do the fucking rematch. They had a huge main event where they could have consecrated Cody Rhodes as a top guy in the company. He still is a top guy, but this would have been like the confirmation, the elevation, where he truly is the top guy in the company. But no, they want to. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? And people are telling me, well, they want him to hit 1,000 days on his Roman. They want him to hit 1,000 days of his reign to make it legendary. How is it legendary? What is this 1,000 day reign about? Why 1,000? That is, why not 942? Why 1,000? Why is that significant? He still won't have beaten Bruno. He still won't have beaten Pedro. I'm pretty sure he won't have beaten Bob either. He won't have beaten Hogan either. So what's legendary about it? I don't understand. And it's not as if his quality of opponents has been top notch throughout, and he's been cheating to win on top of that. This isn't like these great, outstanding matches with these excellent conclusions. Like, I don't understand why sticking to the plan was so crucial, and I don't understand why people are still behind this. Because again, I can't point it out enough. We're back to square one with the bloodline story. We're exactly back to where it was and where it's always been. Roman and underlings he doesn't trust. It's the same fucking story. Over and over and over again. And we're back doing it again. No, Roman doesn't want to see the Usos because he doesn't trust them. And then Jay is going to have to prove himself. And then Jimmy's going to have to prove himself. And then Jay's going to get all pouty again at some point. And then maybe Roman and Jay. I've even had people saying Jay should be the guy to take the belt off of them. I promise you, there are people with their fantasy booking that I promise I would not watch their wrestling promotion if they were handed the keys to it. I just wouldn't watch it. Why would you make Jey Uso the champion when Cody Rhodes, who is absolutely a top guy, a championship level guy, a guy that they want to be out there doing media and promotion and being the face of the company? Why would you? What does Jey Uso have to offer on that level? It's not even the same thing. Stick to the plan, I guess. I'm excited to see how this plan works out because right now, I have no idea what they're doing. And I got people trying to justify me that, well, Cody versus Brock in Puerto Rico didn't need the title. It didn't need it, but it could have been cool to have Cody beat Brock Lesnar back to back. WWE doesn't know how to make stars anymore. It doesn't know how to heat someone up anymore. Could you imagine? Just think about it. Put this in your mind for a second. Think about it. Cody Rhodes defeats Roman Reigns, ends the reign of terror at WrestleMania 39. Then on the following pay-per-view, fights Brock Lesnar in the main event for the Universal United Federation Championship and wins. He beats Roman on one pape, and on the next pape, he's beating Brock. That fucking rules. That's something I could get into. But no, it's like, wasn't time. Just wasn't time yet. Now we're going to get into some reviewing of pro wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling Sakura Genesis 2023 happened this weekend on April 8th, 2023. I'm going to tell y'all, guys, gals, non-binary pals, one of my top 3 shows of the year so far. And this is in a year where we have been so far, this first quarter or so, we're in April. Okay, it's not exactly the first quarter anymore, but we've been blessed with excellent wrestling pay-per-views or PLEs, whatever you want to call them. Like between this and Revolution and Wrestle Kingdom and WrestleMania Night 1 and Supercard of Honor, everyone is putting their best foot forward. And this was just like it's an explosion of greatness. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like I'm like in an aromatherapy. And all the aromas that are around me, they're just like stimulating every single last sense that I have. I can feel it up and down from my fingers to my toes. And I don't know if aromatherapy works that way. I'm assuming that's how it works. That you inhale beautiful scents so that it will take over your body and you'll feel things that you don't necessarily have, that you don't usually feel. This is how I feel with all the wrestling we had. Like everyone has in the past 2 months and a little further, like if you want to start from the start of the year with Wrestle Kingdom, everyone has been just delivering and over-delivering in some circumstances. We're spoiled. It's been a while since I've said it, but we are. I agree. Chat, we're spoiled. And Sakura Genesis, on top of it being a good wrestling show, was super eventful. Lots of news coming out of there. Another top tier show by New Japan. Happened at the Ryogoku in Tokyo. Let's get to it. Let's start talking about it. Show opened up with the Shinichi Champion Grand Prix Celebration 6-man tag match. This was a mystery partner match that was set up for Toru Yano. It was a mystery match, period. Where Toru Yano, I don't know, they were doing some sort of synergy thing with TV Asahi, right? Some sort of award. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't matter. But what they were doing here is that Yano was going to have all of his partners and opponents booked by a TV personality, right? And she decided to book Yano against El Desperado, right? Hiroshi Tanahashi and Yo against him, the team of him, Great-O-Khan and Minoru Suzuki. Two of Yano's nemesis. Is that the plural? Nemesis? Nemesis. Two of his, two members of Yano's rogue gallery. How about that? So Great-O-Khan and Suzuki were on his team. He came in completely blind. People were, the wrestlers were being announced. The crowd was into it. There were shenanigans. And look, the crowd ate it up. We ended up with, we did end up, and Yano gets the win in this match, by the way. And we end up with some stories being set up, regardless of the fact that this was a bit of a comedy match. Great-O-Khan and Minoru Suzuki were sort of wailing on each other on this one towards the end. And some basis for some Best of Super Juniors tournament, which we assume is coming up, but we got tons of news, but no Best of Super Juniors news. But Best of Super Juniors coming up, and between there were some disagreements between El Desperado and Yo, despite the fact that they were on the same team. Interesting stuff. I mean, the match was fine, nothing to write home about. It was mostly about the shenanigans, but it was entertaining. Then we had another six-man tag match. United Empire squad of Aaron Henare, Francesco Akira, and Jeff Cobb defeated the House of Torture. Dominant showing by the United Empire here. And you know what? As I was watching these guys come in, because as I was watching them come in, the whole crew, it really dawned on me. Is there currently a faction / stable of pro wrestlers out there that are more elite than United Empire right now? That look and feel like great competitors, great wrestlers that feel like they all come together in a great unit, Think about it. Will Ospreay, Aussie Open, Great-O-Khan, Jeff Cobb, TJP, Francesco Akira. Who am I forgetting? Aaron Henare. Aaron Henare, who, by the way, I was able to catch up with it. What was it? It was on the, let me see here. I'll pull out my notes here. April 2nd. I only watched it a couple of days ago. Had a spectacular King of Pro Wrestling match against Shingo Takagi on the April 2nd Road to Sakura Genesis show. And the King of Pro Wrestling bullshit is pretty much that, right? But Shingo is making it work. Shingo is like, Yano had it for the longest time, and they were doing, all these goofy steps and whatnot. But Shingo's mastered the King of Pro Wrestling match, where it's not just like, we're going to wear bags over our heads. The winner is the guy who isn't locked up in a dog kennel. Like, none of that bullshit. This match here, the stipulation was the first guy to beat the other guy with a pinfall, a submission, and by knockout wins the match. So you had to do all three to get the win over the other guy. This was a 40-minute match that felt like it was 20 minutes. This match fucking ruled. And Henare, he is, we talk about WWE and their plans and whatnot, but you know what? Gedo ain't perfect either. And Gedo is very much a guy where stick to the plan, right? But Aaron Henare is a guy right now that I would shuffle up the plans to get him into bigger spots. Because this shit ruled. And this guy can hold his own against the likes of Shingo Takagi, who again is probably one of the greatest wrestlers doing it right now on planet Earth. Because he's proved it again. I'm looking at my notes here. Look, I took 3.5 pages of notes for this match. It was brutal. It was brutal. It was grueling. It felt like a fight. It felt like the guys were running through hoops to try and get the win off of the other guy. Henare was fantastic. Brought out his submission game in this. He is such a versatile wrestler, and he's positioned as a brute, right? Where with the rampage and the full Nelson and big power moves, the spears and whatnot. He's a big power move kind of guy. And then next thing you know, he's got a more than a competent ground game. He's got a really good ground game. And I want him to come back to the full look that he had when he did his repackaging. When United Empire started. You remember when he came out the first time and he had the gloves with the sunglasses and it looked like Chono had decided to beef up. Right? He looked so badass. I want him to come back to that. Don't sleep on Aaron Henare. This is a guy who could do business anywhere. He is fantastic. What a fucking star. Anyway, that match but that happened on April 2nd. And you should absolutely check it out. Personally, it's a match of the year. I think you need to go out of your way to see that match if you haven't. Because that shit ruled. Absolutely. Where were we? Oh yeah, just 5 guys in a trio. Duki, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru defeated the LIJ squad of Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito. Match comes to an end when the 5 guys, the 3 guys up to 5 guys. This is going to be so confusing moving forward. What a terrible name. They get submissions on all the LIJ guys at once, but Kanemaru was the legal guy, got it on Bushi. Bushi taps. The match was okay. I mean, it was just fine. This was significant though to establish just 5 guys and then you die. What is the thing? What is the thing that Taka says? Just 5 guys, you will die. Hang on. I got to pull it up here. Just tap on. No, that's not it. It's something anyway. Like it doesn't matter. I thought I could find it quickly, but he's got some kind of new catchphrase for it's "you will die" or something like that. But the just 5 guys had to be they established themselves as dominant. Look, smart booking by Gedo. You're getting in a new faction. You want them to feel important. Take out the most beloved wrestling faction in Japan. Okay, that's a statement. That's a statement that would carry on later on in the evening. We'll get to that, of course. But no, this makes sense. Like, in the grand scheme of things, that makes sense. And then on top of that, you've got Duki egging Naito onto a match in this one here. And I'm like, okay, so Gedo is really in a let's try some shit out kind of mood, apparently, right? That's fine. Let's go ahead. And then Kanemaru getting the submission win here would be significant again a little later on in the evening. And we got a 6-man tag match between the Bullet Club members of Dave Finlay, El Fantasmo, and Kenta. They defeated the Guerrillas of Destiny, Hikuleo and Tamatanga, along with Master Owato. Fine little match, but that's not the story here. Finally, Finlay and ELP are going after each other throughout the match. They can't stand each other. And after the match, finally, ELP gets kicked out of Bullet Club. Dave Finlay, Kenta, and Gedo, they all gang up on him. Then at some point, Ishimori runs in to apparently protect his tag team partner, right? Because they're a Bullet Club's best tag team. And but no, he gangs up on him too. There is There are no friends, no honor among thieves. Never forget that. So he's officially been kicked out of Bullet Club. He got the Bullet Club send-off that Jay White did not get, or Kenny Omega for that matter. So there you go. So that's why I was talking about earlier when I was talking about Jay White heading over to AEW. This is why I'm like, okay, well, there we go. He's in AEW Black and Gold. His merchandise has been, not AEW. Why do I keep saying AEW Black and Gold? Bullet Club Black and Gold. He's got his merchandise already set up with the black and gold colors and whatnot. And look, I only see this as a positive for ELP, flying over to North America and doing this shit. Doing this shit on AEW, on live TV on Wednesday nights. I am convinced, like, if they book this guy to let his personality shine, North American audiences are going to eat this guy up. He's going to be one of those where people are going to, who the fuck is this guy? And then in a couple of weeks, they'll be like, Christ, this guy rules. And those of us who have been watching New Japan for a while, was like, yeah, he's been ruling for a while. Welcome aboard. So I'm all in favor of this, if this is what it means. If he, leaves Japan for a while or whatnot. I can't help but feel like right now, the Bullet Club in Japan feels like a B team now more than ever. I can't be the only one who's thinking that, right? Look, Dave Finlay is the leader de facto right now. Pretty sure there's going to be some controversy with, Jay not being completely expelled and whatnot. But Dave Finlay is the de facto leader. You've got Kenta, the old gray mare. She ain't what she used to be. Taiji Ishimori. Why am I drawing a blank? Crown Jewel. I'm drawing a blank. Chase Owens. Right? And I'm talking those established in Japan right now. We're not going to talk about Impact and so on and so forth, right? It's just like, and House of Torture is kind of still sort of affiliated with Bullet Club, and not exactly some shining members in there either. Yujiro, Evil, Fale. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is getting a little rough now. It's getting a little rough at this point. It really does feel like a B team now. Whereas, you turn around, you fixate on North America, and you've got, well, Jay, right, who's there, who is a superstar. Juice is Juice, whatever, but ELP is a star on the rise. You've also got a lot of potential for some crossover with Impact. You've got Ace Austin and Chris Bay, who are fantastic. And then you also have some stuff with, there's also former Bullet Club members hanging around AEW as well. Look, my point right now is that the Japanese, like the home office, feels a little light right now. Doesn't feel like they have the top tier talent to drive the company into the future right now from the home office. Feels a little strained. And I'm willing to give this Dave Finlay thing some time. I am pro him trying something out. I think it's been working out for the better part of it. I think it's been much more compelling. I like his Bullet Club look, the setup that they have going with him. But see, right now he's going to be challenging for the Never title. Like, this is not, it feels weird to have a Bullet Club leader who is not inserting themselves into into a world title picture. Like an AJ Styles, like a Kenny Omega, like a Jay White. It really feels mid. And I see in the chat, this is an argument we hear quite often. It's like Bullet Club should have been broken up years ago. They should have ended this shit while it was still hot. I think there's been some resurgences. There's been some stuff that I thought was interesting, and it's still a moneymaker. So, I can understand. But I feel like right now there's place for a hard reset, or at least they're doing a hard reset in Japan, and I don't think these are the people to do it, if that makes sense. But here's something that we also have to keep in mind. Dontaku coming up in June. It is the birthplace anniversary, right, of Bullet Club. Dontaku typically, not always, it has had a tradition in the past, but I feel like over the past couple of years, pandemic, blah blah blah, Dontaku hasn't been as mind-shattering and eventful as it once used to be. Maybe they've got something up their sleeve for Dontaku that is going to blow our minds, but also maybe not. And if not, well, I can't say I'm excited with the place that the Bullet Club is on right now. But look, nonetheless, the attack was cool. I love the angle. ELP hitting the bricks, Ishimori faking out. It all works. I love that shit. It's basic. It works. And I'm excited to see what's next for ELP and the Bullet Club. A lot of stuff, a lot of big questions here. And like I also mentioned, out of this, we're probably going to get Dave Finlay versus Tama Tonga for the Never title. Now, from this point on, this show is impeccable. Impeccable. Moving forward from this moment on, once they've cleared the ring of the Bullet Club remnants, this show is unstoppable. Mercedes Moné successfully defended the IWGP Women's title against Azumi and Hazuki. It was a great match that lived up to the high-speed moniker. You have, in this match, Mercedes Moné hanging with two of the stalwarts of Stardom's high-speed staple, right? Two women that you identify with the high-speed matches in Japan, in Stardom. Just some great exchanges that she was doing at first too. But all three of them. But Mercedes is just keeping up. She's keeping up with Hazuki and Azumi without any issues. She's just hanging there. She's doing some of these excellent seamless chains of offense that just make the high-speed stuff a standout in Stardom, and everyone's bumping. Everyone is working their ass off, and it was dramatic, and it was great, and Mercedes Moné wins with the moneymaker. We absolutely have to emphasize how easily Moné kept up with these women, okay? We have to underscore it. Make sure that everyone understands, because this is someone who has never wrestled this style. This is someone who hasn't been gone from the WWE house style for all that long, right? where she's been trained and developed in for most of her career. Mercedes, for everyone saying she would not be able to hang, despite the rocky start at the Wrestle Kingdom presentation, she has been devouring every minute she's been in the ring in each of her matches, and she has been displaying shit that unequivocally display that she is the best wrestler out of the four horsewomen. And I've talked about it before, months ago, tweeted about it. In my opinion, as far as work rate goes, being a pro wrestler and everything that entails in the ring, Sasha has always been the best. Then it oscillates between Charlotte and Bayley, and Becky's at number 4. And I've seen it, and everyone's like, oh, her sloppy matches with Charlotte. And then the rest of all of the catalog of her work in WWE, she has always shown that she gets it, that she understands pro wrestling, that she watches tape, that she picks up on shit, that she's good at it, that she loves pro wrestling. It's a passion of hers. You can tell. And now she's hitting these arenas, she's hitting these matches, and she's tearing it apart. She hasn't had a bad match yet. She's okay. She's had 3. Who the fuck cares? They've been 3 high-profile matches. Extremely high-profile matches. I couldn't care less. Is it 3 or 2? I have the impression 3. But it's 2, right? Was this her second match? That was an incredible match. And I tweeted this out. Paraphrasing a little bit, what I was saying here about, it was 2. It was 2 matches. I apologize. Thank you, Kurt. But it was 2. But she killed them in both. And the other one was such a high-stress, high-profile match. And then the follow-up here. And now she's going to be fighting Mayu Iwatani. What, this fucking weekend, right? Oh, on April 23rd. Sorry. Stardom Grand Queendom is on April 23rd. I'm excited to see the match. Yeah, I want it to happen this weekend. So I tweeted it out about, her leaving the house style and then getting into this seamlessly and just going. And people are like, and of course I get the nerds, right? I get the bozos coming after me. Say, well, maybe she was never that good to begin with. First of all, fuck off, okay? That's garbage. But I also get people saying, this is where she learned her fundamentals in WWE. I can't believe that you're saying that the WWE is terrible at training wrestlers. That's not what I said. We have to be able to recognize, though, that WWE has a house style. And if you don't recognize it, I don't know what to tell you. It's time for you to start watching some tape. But WWE has a house style. It's slower, it's more restrictive, it's overly produced. The wrestlers are absolutely 100% told what they can or cannot do. So Sasha, probably because she's a wrestling nerd, because she's a geek like us, is watching all of, is getting in these matches, these 3 to 5 minute matches, like she spoke about at the press conference, which I laughed my ass off. It's like, look, I'm being wasted here. I can do more. I can be better than this. And that's why she left. Probably wasn't because of the money. Probably not because of the money. She left because she wanted to wrestle. She wanted to wrestle with her completely unshackled without being told what to do. I'm not questioning her fundamentals. I'm not getting into is the PC worth it debate or not. That it's bullshit. I don't have time for that. But what I am saying, and you have to be, dense as a post to not recognize that there is a house style that she had been wrestling in for years. And for her to completely abandon that house style within a few months, a year maybe at the most, whenever she left. It's been a year approximately now, right? we're coming on to a year since she walked out of WWE, and she a style that she'd been wrestling week after week after week over multiple days that she'd been used to, and now she's like, I'm just gonna slide into this, this highly demanding, highly reactionary type of wrestling that I never did, that I've never done in North America, and I'm just gonna assimilate it easily. Holy fuck! She's not getting enough credit for that. That is some amazing transference. That is some skill that she is demonstrating there. She is a pro wrestler. She loves wrestling. Fucking ruled. And yes, I did see the card on the All-Star Grand Queendom card, and it's insane. We'll probably talk about it next week. Anyway, great match. And into another great match. Zack Sabre Jr. successfully retained the New Japan World Television title against Shota Umino. And another one that ruled. It ruled. And I like how in this whole tale that Shota and Zack have, that Zack has established himself as a foil for Shota. I like how this has been established, right? Sure, Shota beat him recently in the New Japan Cup. But now for the title, didn't quite work out. But I like how he was able to keep up with Sabre, right? And starting to pick up on old Zack's cues, right? Zack, was probably like, well, aren't you still a young lion kind of thing, and he's pulling out the stuff, but no, it's like, Showed out a couple of times, was like, oh, you're going for a Euro clutch. Well, hey, let me land one of my own. Let me reverse out of this and land one of my own. It's just some great stuff. A fun sequence to wrap this up where Zack Sabre Jr. kicks out of a Death Rider and a Cradle DDT, but the Euro clutch gets the win for our boy Zack. I'm still warming back up to Shota after having an interesting start to 2023. Then things getting a little rough, getting a little matches in there. I'm like, oh, Shota, what are you doing? And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm still keeping him at arm's length. I mean, he's having great matches with Zack Sabre Jr. He's having great matches with Will Ospreay. He gets into the ring with Tetsuya Naito in the main event, stinks up the joint. I'm like, well. So, he's in these awesome matches with incredible in-ring IQs. Like Ospreay, like Zack Sabre Jr. I sort of shrugged my shoulders and was like, yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. could get a 3-star match out of me. Will Ospreay could get a 3-star match out of me. So, I'm not back on the roughneck train just yet, the Shooter Shota Umino train just yet. I can appreciate that he's still a work in progress. I can appreciate that that New Japan is pushing hard to make this kid a star. But I'm being just a little careful before going right back and saying, yep, Shota's back, baby. I understand his match in the New Japan Cup was against Yujiro. And Yujiro is Yujiro. What are you going to do with a sack of shit like Yujiro, right? But then again, I understand he's still young. Yujiro's the vet. Yujiro's probably calling the match. He's probably, Shota's being, he's doing his best with what Yujiro's giving him, and Yujiro stinks. So, I need to see him I need to see more of Shota in these possibilities, in these instances where he can fail. It's hard to consider that he can fail against Zack Sabre Jr. or Will Ospreay. And I would have argued that it would be hard to fail in the ring with Tetsuya Naito as well. And yet, that one stunk. I don't know. Look, in a vacuum, this match, fantastic. It ruled. Check it out. It's great. And I'm not wishing any ill will on him. I hope he continues to grow and improve. Because he clearly has it. He's got it. He's not a slouch. He's not a Dominic. God forbid. IWGP Tag Team title match saw Aussie Open defeat Bishamon to become the new tag team champions. This ruled. It's probably my match of the night. I am considering adding it to my match of the year candidacies. This was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what made it even better? And I know, look, it sucks. It sucks. The Orihara moonsault, right? That Fletcher does, and he cracks his skull on the side of his head on the railing, right? Man, that shit sucks. And we are lucky that he wasn't more severely injured, that he wasn't like completely concussed and taken out. He just got busted open. Accidental blood. But I'll be goddamn if that didn't add to this match. That it didn't add to the drama of of this match right here. That was outstanding. And you could not have planned it better. Comes back into the ring and he's got the head wrap. And the blood is starting to pool under the head wrap. The white. And you're like... And I'm looking at this and I'm like, Jesus, wrestling is so good. Wrestling rules. What do you want from me? I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. I don't require fucking Shakespeare all the time. It's a hell of a visual. And everything in this match was meaningful, hard-hitting, brutal. I'm still, I'm talking about not quite being on the back on the Shota Umino train. I am still the conductor of the Mark Davis train. This guy is fucking brilliant. And he has had such a good role in this team, but in this promotion as well. The crowd is alive for Aussie Open in this match. They win the titles with Coriolis. People are chanting for them. They're doing the oi, oi, oi. Just a fantastic, outstanding main event. And they being New Japan, did a very good job with Bishamon over the past couple of months. To the point where I was like, they're probably going to drag this out a little more. And when I say drag, I don't mean this, in any pejorative, in a pejorative sense. I thought they were going to add a few more defenses to really establish that Bishamon are top tier, number one level kind, superstars. I really thought that was the route that we were going to go here. Guess I was wrong. Look, they got the big win off of FTR. They got the big win off of the Dream Team, and they just couldn't quite hack it against Aussie Open. One of the best tag teams in the world. And this match ruled on every level. And this might be redundant because I know commentary hammered this home, but I think they're right. I think they're 100% right. Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi found their niche in New Japan Pro Wrestling as being tag team specialists, as being Bishamon. It just worked. It just connected. They do have great chemistry. They do work really well together. It was a convincing, it wasn't hard to get behind this team and see them as convincing because they were. Because they won matches. Because they won matches decisively with great action and great synergy between the two guys. So, they're not, wrapping things up by any stretch of the imagination. This tag team is going to continue, and especially in New Japan, we oftentimes lament the state of WWE's tag team division, but New Japan's tag team division isn't, it's not anything to write home about. But the few teams that they do have these days are spectacular, just outstanding pro wrestlers, outstanding tag teams on top of it. So you get our boys Aussie Open here in this match. They win, they're champions. They're going to carry the belts for a while, I'd assume. This is great stuff. And the match was just outstanding. Just a stellar performance of tag team wrestling. And in ways that just made the fight beautiful. Because it was a fight. And it was grueling and it was brutal. I loved every second of it. Go out of your way to see it. Because it was very, very good. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship was also on the line. Hiromu Takahashi successfully retained his title against Robbie Eagles. I thought this was very good. Very, very good match. Super strong. We have the newly minted Robbie Eagles in the TMDK group. And he works over Hiromu's leg throughout the match. He did a lot of the heavy lifting in this match here. He got all his shit in and then some. This match, they really put over the Ron Miller special as a devastating finisher. Tremendous dive. He does this absolutely tremendous and insane dive to the floor. And he just works the knee, Hiromu's knee throughout the entire match. And Hiromu, then he's absolutely 100% in full, I'm selling the shit out of this mode. You'd swear he was selling this as if someone was ripping at his kidneys, trying to yank them out of his body. Just fantastic stuff. Great sequence of backdrop drivers and Germans between the two. Hiromu hits the time bomb. Doesn't quite get the job done. Robbie Eagles lands an avalanche poison Rana where Hiromu lands square on his crown. Like, Jesus, man. He locks in a Ron Miller special. Hiromu struggles in it for a long time. He lands the dynamite plunger, followed by the time bomb 2 to get the win. Like I said, this was very good. Would I call it great? No, but this was an outstanding match. It was fantastic. I guess we might be holding out one for Best of Super Juniors. Maybe we got one in the chamber. Again, I'm talking about Best of Super Juniors, but we haven't heard any news about Best Super Juniors. There's all sorts of other news, but no news about Best Super Juniors. It was a good match. It looked very good, but I think these two had a better match with each other previously. The one where, specifically where Robbie Eagles won the title off of Hiromu, was it 2 years ago, 18 months ago? And remarkably, I would say one of Hiromu's lowest efforts in the past couple of months, where I thought he was on a resurgence. I thought that everything he was doing was really good. The Noah shows, the Leo Rush match, his Wrestle Kingdom match. Previous to that, I thought he was going through, like, this was a standard Hiromu match where Hiromu eats shit, sells a lot, then pulls out a move for the win. That had become a pattern. And then Hiromu started to get excited again. Didn't quite get that level of Hiromu here. And then the main event, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, was on the line. and Sanada defeated Kazuchika Okada to become the new champion. So the completely reinvented Sanada, not just leaving LIJ, shedding the extra facial hair, getting rid of the old gear, getting rid of the old entrance gear, getting rid of the old entrance music, complete reinvention of Sanada, comes in, comes out, IWGP World Champion. Good match. Can't say like I was blown away. I thought the final third was exciting, but this was solid, good. And I would say some of Sanada's most compelling matches. I think there's a lot of people who like this match more than I did, and that's okay. There's some people who are verging on and been calling this a match of the year. I wouldn't go that far. But I thought this was a strong, good match. And again, like I said, one of, if not Sanada's best New Japan match. I mean, the story here is that he was hanging with Okada, right? That was the basis here, which is a big deal in and about itself. And then he does his callbacks to Great Muda with some moonsaults and a Shining Wizard. And I like what was the line that Chris Charlton used? He said something to the effect, calling back to the fact that Sanada was a Muta apprentice. He said the great thing about Kaiji Muto is that, he will, if he likes you, he will treat you as if you're number one, but without ever positioning you as number one. Something to that effect. I was like, oh, that's Kaiji Muto right there. Sanada eats an Emerald Flosion, but Okada blocks by Okada, but Sanada blocks a Rainmaker and into the Deadfall for the win. That's the name of the modified DDT as they'd been calling it. So here we are. Here we go. This is the thing here. I think a lot of us were convinced that Okada was going to do it again. Gedo does have this booking fallacy where he's going to seemingly push a new guy, give him a repackage, put him on a winning streak, so on and so forth. And then, when it comes time for the big match, still can't get the job done. So, I was like, well, how much is Gedo really behind this? How much, and I mean behind, when I mean behind, I mean supportive. How is he ready to go all in on this? Well, he's like, look, okay, you want to be the top guy? Here you are. You're the top guy. Okay, well, this is very interesting. Right? Because this is what we were, for years, people have been saying Sanada's the next top guy, right? Sanada should be a top guy. What is he doing hanging around these mediocres? What is he doing in the mid card? He should be a top guy. He should be a top guy, right? And me too. For a while, at least, admittedly, Sanada, it's time to elevate him. Sanada, it's time for the push. Sanada, it's his G1. Sanada, it's his New Japan Cup. He's going to finally beat Okada, and he never does. He'd always fall short in booking, right? But also in execution. And I think there's an exhaustion that exists in regards to Sanada, because he's been in these big time matches before. And it's not that people didn't believe that he couldn't beat him, couldn't win the big match. Is that he would get to the big match and he would under-deliver. He'd underperform. And that would leave, generally speaking, a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So now clearly Gedo is like, okay, no, let's go. We're gonna try this guy out. Now, we're rejuvenating him. We're giving him the star treatment. New stable. He's the front man of the stable. We're going to push these guys and we're going to push him. He's the champ. Let's try it out. And I'm completely for this. I'm 100% okay with the idea of trying this out and seeing what happens next. I mean, we know that the Bushiroad office has been putting Gedo under pressure for pushing new, younger, handsome guys, right? Good-looking dudes. So there you go. Look, Sanada is not a young guy. per se. You know, he's not in his 20s. When you think about a young guy, you're maybe going, oh, Ren Narita, oh, shooter. You know, it's like, well, you know, Sanada is not the youngest guy on the roster. He's not the oldest, but he's not the youngest. He's what, like 35? So he's not too old either. I mean, look, shaved down, the little hairdo. The guy is handsome. There's no, you know, we can't mince words here. He is a good-looking man. So on that front, he's connecting, right? With, I guess, the desire from the office, like, look, let's get some new, fresh faces in here. And especially when it comes to, especially when you consider that your main event stalwarts, at least some of them, they're getting a little up there in age. You know, you can't necessarily count on Naito all that much anymore. Sure, Naito's 40, sure, but his body's taking a fucking beating, and he's not the Naito he once was, which is fine. Tanahashi, he's pushing up there, mid-40s. We know the status of his body. We can even see it. It's like, man, Tanahashi will only be able to cling to this top spot that he's always in for so long, right? And so, you know, there's that part. And then if it's not the part of, well, these guys are getting a little old and can't necessarily hang, then there's the question of, well, it's always the same guys, right? It's always the same guys in the main events. It's always Okada. It's always Naito. It's always Jay White. Well, Jay White is gone. And you don't have Kota Ibushi there anymore to mix things up. So really, when you think about, when you look at it this way, with Jay White out the door, with Kota Ibushi saying, so long, don't let the good Lord hit you where the door splits you. Gedo is in need of some top guys. He's absolutely in need of some new main event talent because he's lost two of his stalwarts that he could really lean into. Two others which are getting up there in age and that you can't always run back on again. And we're getting into the G1 season, slowly but surely. So, well, not just yet, but, you know, we're eventually going to get there. So, you know, we got to mix things up a little bit. He has to create these new top guys. So I think it is from a booking perspective, from a business perspective, it makes tons of sense. It might as well try it out. Might as well see what happens. The only way to know if Sanada will be a top guy, a top draw, is if you put him in these positions. Let's see how business goes. Let's see, let's see what the observable metrics can tell us in regards to Sanada's run as world champion. We've got some big shows coming up. We've got some big ones lined up. Got Dontaku, which is not that far away. So yeah, on the business side of things, it makes a little sense. Creatively, I don't know, I'm a little bummed. I'm a little bummed because I really liked post Kiyomiya Okada, who was so just mad at the world, like so angry and aggressive, just unnecessarily aggressive, because he was so pissed off that he had to go waste some time with this low-level Noah scrub. and it translates. See, he's such a pro that he included that into his on-screen character in New Japan. That's the kind of fucking professional this guy is. So I'm a little disappointed because I really liked it, and an angry, unstoppable Rainmaker train. Sure, you could have fed me months of that shit. I would have been gobbling it up. But look, change of scenery. We're trying stuff out. But here's something that I don't know if y'all thought about. Here's something that is very interesting to think about. we have Kazuchika Okada now coming closer and closer into Forbidden Door 2 territory without the IWGP World Championship, which from a booking / political point of view makes things a lot simpler to book. Makes things a lot simpler to book. So, because you can put Okada with another guy, with another AEW guy, whoever that person may be, and you don't have to contend with a title. You don't have to contend with this guy being currently my face of the company. Of course, yeah, sure. I'm not saying that there's no chance in hell that Okada could get the title back in the meantime. I mean, he could. I'm not going to lie that one of the things that is unnerving me, the fact in regards to Okada not having the title right now, is are we going to head into the G1 with another Okada win? But let's cross that bridge when we get there. All I'm saying right now is that from a negotiation table perspective, when Tony and Gedo sit down face to face and pull out their notebooks and they start sharing notes on who should win and how and what, and they start getting creative on the booking, the IWGP, you can put Okada in a big time match and the title isn't involved, so that makes things easier, makes things simpler. I mean, why not send pissed off Okada, right? To North America, where he's like, why do I have to fight these scrubs now, Gedo? Why do I have to fight these underlings? Interesting. Look, just a food for thought. Okada free of a title. Okada free of a title for Forbidden Door 2 is good news. Is interesting. And then after the match, also to note, Hiromu Takahashi came in to challenge Sanada for the IWGP World title, which he accepted. And he could have just poo-pooed him away, right? He really could have just be like, no, you're a junior. Hit the bricks, right? What a show. What a fantastic, eventful, action-packed show. It's one of my top 3 shows of the year so far. Puro is back, baby. And now they're doing another joint show with All Japan and Noah. I swear to God, we should have pandemics more often. That was a joke. Now, if Sakura Genesis was the thing, then we got, if that wasn't eventful enough, we got a bevy of news coming out of all of this. First of all, G1 Climax 33 is coming back this summer. We got the official launch date for this, July 15 in Hokkaido, going through 19 events to wrap up on August 13 in Ryogoku. So 19 events overall. That hopefully means that we are going to return to the 2-block 20-man field. I hope so. I mean, they could pack the events, whatever. But it's not as many dates as last year. So that's a good sign. I hope we're going back down. And you know what? The table is set. The environment is prime for involvement from wrestlers from other promotions. Here's the thing that crossed my mind. Do what you will. What if Kaito Kiyomiya gets gets into the G1, sort of to continue on this story. He's like, "No, I'm going to prove to this motherfucker, Okada, that I'm one of the boys. That he won't be able to ignore me anymore, and I'm going to come in and win this, right?" I'm just saying. But look, the floor in Japan is completely open. The doors, there are no forbidden doors. Everything is gushing like a white water river, a white water. What's the term? White water rafting, right? But is it a white water river? Anyway, a raging river of whiteness. That sounded bad. A raging river of collabs between the Japanese promotions, right? So I wouldn't be surprised that we see multiple representation in the G1 this year. Just by the way things are going right now. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would not be surprised to see an AEW guy this year in the thing as well. Maybe one or two. I mean, look, we're not, unless we start revisiting summer 2022 in AEW again this year, and Tony Khan is like, "Man, I cannot send you anyone, Gato. My house of cards is coming down right now. I need to keep everyone here." Maybe we'll get one or two interesting exports. Look, if CM Punk isn't back in the locker room, we'll be fine. No, I see a good floor for a lot of interesting matchups, and God, keep Bad Luck Fale out. Keep Yujiro out. My main criticism of the G1 last year is that the guys who are clearly booked to lose matches are so terrible that I don't want to watch the matches. And this is the G1. Like, this is the pinnacle of wrestling tournaments on an international scale. There is not a bigger pro wrestling tournament on planet Earth than the G1. More grueling, more exciting, more diverse. I don't want to sit through Bad Luck Fale matches this year, Gato. I don't want to sit through Yujiro just because he's a guy who doesn't give a shit about eating L's all the time. I don't want to see him wrestle. Bring in some guys, young guys from Japan, freelancers, or younger guys from the US who just want some exposure, just want to bring in some strong guys who just want to work the fucking G1. But who can at least deliver some matches. Jesus fucking Christ. Don't put Kenta. Don't need Kenta in there. Fred Rosser's a great choice. Put Kevin Knight in there. Kevin Knight is great too. Kevin Knight will eat the L's, but he'll put on star matches every time. It's the G1. Every night of the G1, you should be out of your seat for every match. So that's exciting. Of course, I will be back with my continuous coverage of the G1, just like I've been doing for the past couple of years. We're going to be doing that again this year. Not a lot of people cover the G1 like I do. So be sure to hang on to the Best D-List podcast. Subscribe today. And then another announcement, if that wasn't enough, if we weren't excited about the G1 and weren't excited enough, we got an announcement for the IWGP US title that was going to be defended There was going to be a tournament, actually, to determine the number one contender for Kenny Omega's U.S. title. In fact, it was announced by New Japan just past Sunday that Kenny Omega will face the winner of a four-man tournament, with the number one contender being decided at Dominion on June 4. The tournament participants will be Hiroshi Tanahashi, Lance Archer, Juice Robinson, and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, gee willikers. I wonder how this one's going to turn out. Archer is going to fight Juice at Collision in Philadelphia, which is a New Japan event being held on Sunday, April 16, this weekend. And today's the 11th, in a couple of days. This weekend. And Tanahashi versus Ospreay will be set in Long Beach, California at the Resurgence show on May 21st. Then the semifinals will, the Archer versus Robinson and Tanahashi versus Ospreay winners will face off at Dominion in Osaka-jo Hall on Sunday, June 4. And that will establish the number one contender for Kenny Omega's IWGP US title, which will probably be defended at Forbidden Door 2. I think that's a safe lock. I think that's a safe bet. Something that I was expecting. Didn't expect the tournament, but it's something that I was expecting. You know, you get the first match, you know. Tony Khan sends Kenny Omega to Japan for Wrestle Kingdom. Says, here, have him. You get the first match. I want the rematch. He and Gedo shake hands. There we go. And we got a third one in the chamber. We got ourselves a rubber match at the same time. So I really think that this is what we're going for. I think we're going for Ospreay and Omega for Forbidden Door 2. That's the match. That is the match that you run in North America. It's in the chat, you know, it's like, yeah, but that's where the money is. That's where you roll it. And if you think that you can't load it up a third time, let's say for a show at Wembley Stadium, you're absolutely wrong. You are absolutely 100% wrong if you think this match can't happen at Wembley in a couple of months. You have the matches, run them. This is big time. This is the biggest match you can run on North American soil. Ospreay Omega 2. It's going to be awesome. And that's good. And you know what? That's going to deliver. So, you know, so what if Forbidden Door is sold out or whatever? It won't be about the tickets anymore. It's going to be about the papes. It's going to be about the buys. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing here. Osaka-jo Hall, not Osaka-jo Hall, Forbidden Door. You put that on the card. That's essentially your main event. That's what's going on last. That's what's driving 160,000 buys, 170,000 buys. Easily. So that's some exciting news. And then, well, we spoke about it, Wrestling Dontaku. Well, we Dominion, as Osaka-jo Hall, that's going to happen. But then we also got an announcement for Wrestling Dontaku, which is the next big New Japan show that's going to be happening on May 3rd. We already have a few matches confirmed there. Sanada will be defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Hiromu Takahashi. The Never Openweight title will also be defended. Tama Tonga versus David Finlay. Then we also have announced the Never Openweight six-man tag titles on the line with Strong Style, Suzuki, Desperado, and Ren Narita defending against Kazuchika Okada and two opponents of Okada's choice. Getting spicy. Okada tweeted out after losing the match against Sanada. He said, "Yeah, maybe I need to change the scenery too." Huh. We have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jeff Cobb. And that might be for the New Japan Pro Wrestling World TV title if and only if Zack Sabre Jr. can defeat Tom Lawler, who is his next challenger at Capital Collision this weekend in DC. Zack Sabre Jr. is defending the title against Tom Lawler. So if Tom Lawler wins the title, I guess it will be just a singles match. I don't even know that's not happening, but that's what we get. And then we have the strong openweight title, Kenta versus Hikuleo. I could not be less excited for a match if you put me to sleep. Kenta versus Hikuleo is not something I want to spend time on. I really don't. But to cap this all off, we have one more match on the way, and I'm going to read the description directly from the NewJapan1972.com website. We're going to have a unique kickoff bout for Dontaku, where we'll see the first ever Young Lion Hat Trick Challenge match. Get ready for this, folks. One of 4 Young Lions, Ryohei, I can't pronounce his first name. Excalibur's going to have to school me on this one. Ryohei Oiwa, Yuto Nakashima, Oscar Lobe, and Bolton Oleg will compete in 3 5-minute matches. Should they be able to run the gauntlet and win all 3, they will be granted a future shot at the New Japan World TV Championship, as well as 200,000 yen of yakiniku barbecue, courtesy of CS Asahi, rich and delicious prizes indeed. What the fuck? Who cares about the TV title shot? They're getting $200 worth of barbecue, of yakiniku barbecue. Let's do some research together here. Yakiniku barbecue. Let's take a look at this. And so it's just like a grill. It's like that's all it is. It's just barbecue. You're gonna get shit to throw on the grill. That is fantastic. What a great, and you know what? Here's the thing. I'm stoked to see this. This is a dope little thing to do with the Young Lions. We've talked about it. I talked about it again. New Japan want the young guys to cycle out of the Young Lions stuff, and that's creating some controversy, right? So there's probably a lot of pushback to bringing the Young Lions up onto the main spotlight too early because they're not ready. But this is a good way to give them some shine without, making them suddenly top guys. I love the idea of this match. I'm really excited to see the execution. All of these, Oiwa, Nakashima, Lobe, and Bolton Oleg. They're all Bolton Oleg, brother. Let's be real. If there's one guy who should win this, it is him. I want to see this guy get twisted up by Zack Sabre Jr. I'm not going to lie. That shit's going to rule. Bolton Oleg is He is exactly what New Japan used to love in its gaijin, right? This guy, Inoki would have bent himself backwards to book this guy, to get him in here. He looks like a fucking beast. He's an amateur wrestler. He's got the pedigree. He's got everything that Inoki would have loved. And now we've got this thing here for 200, with the barbecue on top of that. Bolton Oleg could eat 200,000 yen worth of yakiniku barbecue in one sitting. And that is actually something I want someone to make a vlog out of. I want to see him eat that 200,000 yen worth of barbecue. That's what I want. Oh. So that'll be fun. And then they said that they were going to announce the cards for the Best of Super Juniors on May 3rd as well. You know, I'm excited to hear about that. And Hiromu is going to have another before his title match against Sonata. Against Sonata. What was that all about? Before his announcement, his match against Sonata, he's going to have another match against Yoshinobu Kanemaru on the tour, on the Road 2 show. I think it's on the Hiroshima show, April 27. And we're finally going to get Catch 2-2 back. TJP and Francesco Akira, one of the 3 best tag teams in the world, as they are going to defend the junior heavyweight tag team titles against Kushida and Kevin Knight, who issued a challenge to the champions. So lots of new news. And like I said, on top of that, there's an announcement coming for another joint show between New Japan, All Japan, and Noah. It's a good time to be a Apero fan. And if you're new to this, if you're listening to me talk about Japanese wrestling and you're like, man, this shit sounds cool, it's a great time to jump in. Especially in New Japan. They're shuffling the cards. They're trying out new shit. You don't have to, and there's no interminable stories to get involved in. You just have to enjoy good wrestling and you'll be able to get on board fairly quickly. I think it's a good time to get into Apero. It's a good time to get into Japanese wrestling. And I hope I give you that I can give you the desire to watch them. If you don't, and if you're not sure where to start, get on Discord. Send me an email. Send me a DM. It'll be my pleasure to help you out. It'll be my pleasure right now to end this, because we are done with with, as we like to call, the weekly wrestling discussion. We're done. It wasn't a 4-hour marathon like last week, but you can't, those are for special occasions. You can't do that every week. I'm just going to burn myself out. And then at some point you're going to be like, this motherfucker never shuts up. I can't do it every week. Got to keep those special. You got to keep them wanting more. As the showbiz adage goes. Listen, watch, look. Hey, thank you all very much for taking the time to listen to the MrWarrenHayes show this week. I appreciate it a great deal. If you're watching on YouTube right now, a like and or a subscription would be great. Hopefully I worked hard for your subscription and I've earned it. So it would be my pleasure, my honor to have you hanging around here and doing the bell gimmick and all. Thank you, JS Brown. But that'd be great. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, well, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star rating on Spotify helps out a great deal. And just telling people about it and having a good time and popping in and saying hi to Warren, sending me a DM, sending me a tweet. Those things are fantastic. I'd appreciate it a great deal. But hey, I will be back on Thursday for the weekly Dynamite review. You can count on that, brother. It'll be a good time. I'm sure of it. Otherwise, I will be back next Tuesday for another live edition of the show. We record at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. If you ever want to make it, it would be great for you. It would be great to have you around. In the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your evening and a great week, and I'll see you next time.